Good, how are you doing?
Good.
I lost my good glasses that have my vital lines on it, so now I have to wear no, they're gone. It's weird. Had them for like 6 years, all of a sudden they're gone. I guess it means it's time for a new pair. My husband can wear his cheaters. He looks for them. They're like all this. So. So yeah, I can't trust it.
I didn't know they ever make money on it.
Call the meeting to order, please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Steve?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Jill? Yes. Jane, yes. Chad?
Yes.
Welcome. We have some special visitors this evening. I think it's time to recognize and introduce our junior high track stars that we have with us today. We have our coach, Becky Quant. Hi. Becky, could give us a little lowdown on what the junior high track kids are.
I'm one of the coaches, Becky Quant. We had Don Morris, another coach, Aaron Adams, and Bethany Parker. And then we had Alexa Kinney Simple. She was a volunteer coach. She worked with our pole vaulters. This is not all the kids who went to state. We had 22 go to state this year. It was amazing. It was an amazing season. Lots and lots of records that have been broken. I think when we decided 12, I think we decided there were 12 records broken this year. So it was an amazing group. So I'll let them. You want to start?
Okay, I'm Camden Verboser. I went to state for the 4x2, 4x4, and high jump.
And you placed in.
I placed in the 4x4, we got 8th place.
I'm Katie Chavis, and I went for shot put and discus, and I got second in shot put.
I'm Olivia Custer, and I am the 4x2. I'm Emery Spicer, and in 4x2, 4x4, long jump, and 800-meter run, and I placed in the long jump with 4th place and placed in the 4x4 with 8th place. I'm Drew Wise. I'm in the 4x2, 400, 4x4, and placed 8th in the 4x4. I'm Winston Kirk. I went for the 400 and 4x4. I placed 10th in the 400 and 8th in the 4x4.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you when I do it. These 4 girls right here, these 4 girls, they went to state last year also for the 4x4. Yeah, this is an amazing group of kids here. I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead.
I'm Kirsten Hendricks. I went to state for pole vault and I played 7th. I'm Hannah Cowles and I went to state for 4x2 vault.
I'm David Cowles. I went for 4x4 100 high jump 100 and I placed in high jump, second place, and 4x4 fifth place.
I'm Carson Fox. I went to state in 1600, 800, 4x4, third shot put. I placed 9th in shot put, 800, and 5th in 4x4.
Fantastic. Congratulations, everyone. Thanks for coming to the meeting tonight. Thank you to our coaches and our parents for supporting you. If you haven't thanked your parents, make sure you do that. We'd like to recognize you. We want to get your picture and we'd like for you to file through so that we could shake your hands.
We'll come through this way and start with Mr. Volpe. Shaking hands.
Make sure you're not sticky.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Good job, Carol.
Way to go.
Congratulations.
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 And then when they go against that wall.
Way to go. Way to go. Congratulations. Way to go. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job.
We'll do girls and then we'll do
Good
boys.
job.
Coaches, want to get in? Whoever's here.
Probably need to swish.
Yeah, squish it.
If I'm not, it's really embarrassing.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay, boys.
Good.
You want them all together? Or you want this?
We can, but I'd like to take the boys separate though too, so however you want to do it. You guys ready? Get on one, we'll get one more.
Yeah, one more.
Get a little closer.
You won't mind it.
Alright, you ready?
Very good.
So before you go, how many of your 8th graders? Raise your hand if you're 8th. Is that 7th graders? 6th graders?
You're actually right. Wow.
Well, when you competed, sorry. Good point. Plan to run in high school? Okay, good. That was the biggest one. That's correct. I want you to stay competitive and continue to do good things for the district. So once again, thanks for coming tonight. Thanks for all that you do. We're looking forward to you coming back in the buildings here in August. I know you're not, but
Enjoy the rest of the summer.
For you before you get here, absolutely. Once again, thanks. Give them a round of applause.
I just want to say thank you guys for doing this. This was great. Thank you.
Oh,
Thanks.
All right. I'd like to recognize any visitors. None at this time. The next on the agenda is the financial report.
Okay, so fund balances, there's a decrease of 1.07 over last year. Net fund balance, which was $22,821,461.37. Operating funds, there's a decrease of 1.38% over last year's net total of $1,399,408.70. Revenues to the Ed Fund, local funds, negative $227,908.65. State, $589,487.04. Federal, $360,027.47. No others. Expenses are listed in your report. And then recommendation would be reimburse the imprest account, the amount of $93.67. Payment of bills, $2,758,617.99.
Okay, is there any questions? Looking for the recommendation is a motion and a second to approve the financial report to reimburse the Emprest account in the amount of $93.67 and the payment of bills in the amount of $2,758,617.99.
Make that motion.
Motion by Chad,
Second.
second by Steve. Roll call.
Scott,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Chad,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Inside there, you'll find minutes from previous meetings. And then fundraisers. EJHS is going to have a cookie dough fundraiser in August. And the junior high baseball team is selling apparel to raise funds and to sell team apparel. And that's running from August 1st to September 1st. Looking for a motion, or is there any discussion, questions about
Is
the
that the
consent?
same cookie dough they always have?
Well, I'm not sure.
Because
They seem to change it for, once in a while. Sometimes it's a different manufacturer.
It's from the same company.
It
Last year's
is?
was from the same company as previous, yeah.
Do they like it? I mean, I've heard a lot of people
I
say
like
that.
cookies.
You do?
I like
Are
cookies.
you?
Is that what you meant?
Yeah,
Company that we.
Oh,
The vendor, maybe? I don't-
yeah, I don't know.
It's the same one they've used for 20 years.
Well, then it
I would suggest that
probably
you're
is.
hearing people want to send them to us, so we can hear that too.
Yeah.
I've not had any cookie dough discussions yet. Sounds like we're ready. We'll check into it.
Okay. Looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
Motion.
Motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Chad. Roll call.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Chad,
Yes.
Steve,
yes.
Scott.
Okay, next on the agenda is the correspondence. We have two. First is the thank you note. Dear Mr. Johnson and the Board of Education, your thoughtfulness is appreciated. Thank you so very much for the brick, the U40 lifetime pass, and the beautiful flowers for my retirement. Greatly appreciated, Sharon Macklin. How to sum up 30 years at Unit 40, ? Absolutely wonderful. Thank you. And your kindness is appreciated so much. Thank you. Effingham Unit 40 BOE, thank you so much for the beautiful flower. It just keeps blooming. Such a beautiful gift. Also, thanks for the brick. I have not got to EHS to see it yet. Hope to go this week. And the lifetime event card is perfect. I have loved my 28 years of service at Effingham Unit 40. I will be on the sub list after January. It has been a pleasure having a great staff to work for. I feel like Unit 40 is a wonderful place to work. When I started, it was so hard to get a job that everyone wanted to work there. And I think soon it will be that way again. I feel like all is going well. Thanks again, Kathy Peters, retired EJHS head cook. Okay, next on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Superintendent's report, first thing I only have a couple things. First is the Little Hearts Early Childhood Center is ours. It's up and running. We took that business, first took over, so to speak, July 1st, technically. The first week was shut down. for students. We spent that entire week with staff, training them and getting them ready to go for the upcoming school year, not school year, because they're actually back up and running on the 10th. The students were back, kiddos were back on the 10th. I did ask you for giving a couple notes on it. Obviously, if you've been by there, maybe you've seen the new signage is up. I think it looks good. You might need to trim the bushes, but we'll work on that next. Signage is up, it's pretty good. She has submitted the PFA, which is the Preschool for All grant. We are in hopes to get 2 classrooms down there, which would fully fund 2 classrooms. And you have to keep in mind that would also be non-ISBE sponsored, I guess I would say, because you can technically apply for this, such as Head Start, places in town have applied for, got the PFA, and school districts have. We are keeping this completely separate on our books. This is a completely different funded item that will fund itself. We are not using levy money and things of that nature to be able to support this daycare. So in hopes, and we do feel there's a very, very good chance that we will receive Preschool for All for 2 classrooms, very similar to what we did this past year. Jennifer's heavily involved in that, a lot of work to it. I appreciate what she's done with it as well. But the grant has been completed. They completed a grant also today for new air purifiers, so we'll be looking to hopefully put those in there to get that grant. We're working on a Smart Start grant, which will render a large revenue for the facility to be able to help out with possibly playground, I think, and some other areas within the building as well. Other grants are being pursued for a new dishwasher and upgraded technology. So there'll be more to come on that as we move forward. We do have things in place for procedures as far as purchasing, and we met today, a little early in my opinion, but we met today because we keep a very, very close eye on the revenue in and the revenue out on this endeavor. So we will be giving you monthly updates the best that we can on a lot of this as we move forward. But really excited. The staff has done a very good job of basically transitioning to new leadership. Jennifer has also completed her trainings, has become the director certified for preschool, so that's added to it. But basically, in a nutshell, we're off to a great start. I think we're fully staffed and we're fully seated, if that's the terminology we want to use as we move forward. But again, remember, it doesn't work like a school. It doesn't shut down. All right, this is a 12-month offering. And there will be more details to come on exactly how all that's playing out and what's going on with it. But there'll be kids in, kids out, kids age up, when kid ages up. I know for a fact right now, I think we have, like she said, 4 to 5 babies on the wait list right now to get into the building. I think there's only X number that could be in each age group. So anyway, off to a great start. Any questions or any concerns or anything you've heard? Yeah.
Andy, did we retain all or a large percentage of the staff, correct?
I would say all but 2.
Okay.
They resigned.
I knew it was a large percentage.
2 or 3 months.
Good deal.
What's limiting us to create a wait list? Space or personnel? Space.
DCFS sets the guidelines to X number of littles, X number of, birth to 6, 12 months. I don't know the exact breakdowns of them, Jeff can give that to us, but yeah, we don't. It's space. I don't think, knock on wood, I think we might be okay staff. We'll see.
Any other questions?
We appreciate you being behind that as you approved it, and we'll be able to run and see where it goes from here. Southside project is on schedule, just food for thought. I know it gets contentious and things get a little exciting as we come down the stretch on a project being finished, and teachers being in their classrooms and being ready to go, things of that nature. We are not at this point looking to make any changes to the schedule. as far as students are concerned, or staff is concerned, we do feel like we are right on target. That will be fully ready to go and get them back in. The 15th and 16th are both teacher PD days. We're hoping that there'll be some time in there that can help those teachers be able to make sure their classes are ready to go. So if you hear any concerns on that level, please send them to me. Okay. That's it.
Did you have anything else? Used to have in school year things like enrollment
Right, yeah, it's
report,
very
and
limited,
there's
so.
no foundation report or anything like that. Okay, moving on then to new business. Next on the agenda is to amend the 23-24 calendar. Do you just want me to read this, or do you?
It was basically
I wanna
oversight
add-
on my part. Actually, when we went through it, you understand how the calendar works. The state has a calendar in which we have to put the information in to a box that makes sure it fits for everything we do. When Michelle and I went through the calendar, we basically, brought to our attention that we had February 12th off, which in the calendar with ISB, it says that's the only day you can take off, technically. But then you gotta go through typical movement with the state, because we notoriously have always taken off President's Day. So we put it in there and didn't catch it, and nobody caught it until we publicized it. And then once it was caught, then I'm back down to the drawing board going, well, we might as well take the same day we normally take it off. So it's just a flip of Monday.
Instead of Lincoln on the 12th, we're taking President's Day on the 19th. Okay. All right, any questions? Looking for a motion, a second to approve the amended 2023-24 calendar as presented.
Motion.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Scott. Roll call.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Chad,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of the amended agreement with Pepsi Mid-America Company.
We had a 10-year contract with them. Between you and I and the fence post, it was hurting them. Okay. Not us. It needed to be worked out, so I worked out for another, I think, what is it, the last 5, to where prices are gonna go up a little bit. But they're also giving us a little bit more money through the process too, so.
Okay.
That's all that is.
Does anybody have any questions about the agreement? Okay, the recommendation is a motion and a second to approve the amended Pepsi Mid-America Company agreement established on October 11th, 2018. This contract is set to expire on October 11th, 2028 as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Chad. Second by Jill. Roll call.
Jane, yes, Chad,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jill.
Yes. Okay. Next on the agenda is the final strategic plan of executive summary. There's quite a bit of information in your packet.
I've had a couple of questions asked of me with it, so let me preface some of them and ask some questions, further questions that you've got. This whole process started last fall. We started with 30 to 35 different people sitting in this room about 4 or 5 times for about 3 to 4 hours. It started the whole process to narrow some things down, try to get more specific. Then it went to the administrative level, to where we've spent time with both Dr. White and Dr. Volz in trying to get more specific on goals and things of that nature. And as a couple board members asked for priority order. And what I can tell you was this was not developed in priority order. It was developed in, actually I shouldn't say that. The copy that's not being approved from you is the administrative copy. The administrative copy actually has timelines on it, okay? And on those timelines, we've gone through and tried to, that's our targets, right? But if we threw that out to the whole world, it muddies the water for anybody that's looking at it, I guess in my opinion. Obviously, board-wise, we're gonna come back and report to you as a board on hitting those timelines and being able to show you that. This is for the purpose of everybody being able to see this, staff and all. It basically what, I don't know how many meetings do you think we've there three or four.
I'm writing the goals.
Yeah, breaking this down with Dr. Bowles and Dr. White to be able to, we had individual
And
meetings.
individual meetings as well.
Because one of the questions asked was, who are the champions or who are the people in charge of these? At this point right now, you correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't write them down, and I apologize. Facilities was me, finance was me, safety, Jenny Seacrest, communications, Mrs. Flock, achievement curriculum was Shelley, technology was Mrs. Flock. What we're in the process of doing, but didn't want to completely do it right out of the gate was, we have a communications director now, but the communications piece will slide over on. We also are gonna work out the finance or facilities will slide on to Kelsey. So there will be 6 of us, one person gets each category to be able to stay on top. I think the biggest thing that we need to know from you as a board is, how do you want, with 6 folks, how do you want that reported back to you? Do we, every board meeting, want a topic or 2? Do you want quarterly reports? Do you want, some of that needs to probably be discussed or thought about as we move forward. I'm gonna, at a minimum, we're gonna do a bi-yearly assessment with each other amongst us to be able to report back on a yearly basis. The other thing we've said through all this is, please understand, we didn't get everything that needs to be done. We have to hone down, and that's what this is kind of done. But I think one of the questions that maybe Chad, you had was, if you take a look at a lot of this, safety, for instance, really truthfully right now, safety is number 1.
Right.
In my book. We haven't put that on here, it's what, 3, goal 3? But it's not priority order. This was just here's where we are, facilities, here's number 1's facilities, number 2's safety, number 3's on and on and on from there. So that's how we designed it. We
And
can
those
come
just
back with-
lined up with the order of the strategic plan, and that was in no particular order
Correct.
either.
Don and Rich suggested we do the timeline.
And we'll share that.
But
they suggested, we all suggested with their advice, because they've done it with multiple districts, to go down this road. We have like 3 documents. Okay? One's really in-depth, one's kind of this one, and there's obviously the one we really started out the gate with.
And is there a public side document? Was
feel
I
like this is
dreaming
the
that there
public
was,
one.
okay, that there was something that was supposed to be published on the website? Is that,
We will.
Yes.
okay.
And I think it's this one, as long as you're comfortable with this one.
I'd like to see, as just part of the superintendent's report, just an update month to month, things that have, any progress or any challenges or things like that. I think that would be,
Suffice.
that's just my
As
opinion.
things change or as things transpire.
And if there's a particular noticeable or a part of the project or the program that you want to highlight and have them come and present a portion, then that's your discretion as well. But
We can do that. And the other piece that everybody needs to remember is, as of July 1, we haven't had an opportunity yet to super eval from my new evaluation system that you've all approved. This will tie directly into that, which again, all of these goals will be on me. So yearly, you're going to be able to assess, what, did you meet this one? Why did you not? Did you meet this one? Yes, we did. So on and so forth across the board. And we've got some that'll be a challenge.
Right, and
We
the
want to be
expectation
challenging,
is
though.
not for it all to happen in a year either. It's a broad vision for the next 3 to 5
Kind of
years.
3 to 5, and we can revisit as we go.
They gave us a nice reporting tool as well, so that we can kind of keep track of where we're at, like in progress, what was there.
Right, that's what I was
Okay.
thinking of.
Exceeded expectations, so like we'll be able to use that to kind of use it as a rubric.
Yeah, there's a good, whatever's in red has not been addressed or has been addressed or,
That would be a good one, periodically share.
Okay.
Say, hey.
Right.
because it goes green, checkbox, and red, or.
I know all about that.
Right.
I know all about that.
Okay.
That's how we're measured at work.
But I don't think in education a lot of times it happens this way, so I'm excited to be able to do some of this, maybe 2 years from now, maybe I'm not as excited. No, I think it gives us direction. A lot of times direction.
So any other questions or discussion?
I thought it was very comprehensive, a lot of good goals. So
Right.
appreciate everybody's time and efforts. I know that's been a lot of meetings by people outside this room, in this room, and I think they've done a tremendous job with that.
I appreciate you saying that, because they've
Right.
spent a ton of time. Now is where the rubber meets the road, when I can sit on the shelf.
Yeah.
We're going. I would probably have, in the next month or two, all of them on a 16 by 20 picture frame somewhere here.
It's a great idea.
Continually reference it.
And along those same lines with the core values and beliefs, I feel like that's a really important part of this document. As far as the strategic plan goes, it's not in the goals, but, having these showcased in each classroom, kids know what teamwork and respect, communication, achievements, diversity, safety, and personal growth, what I'd like for everyone to know what those all mean.
Absolutely.
Spend a lot of time on that and shouldn't just be words, so.
I will
Okay.
touch on a little bit of it at the opening day with our staff all together, and then we'll turn around and break it down to the individual buildings will be responsible to help us start it on that. I will also, these goals will be discussed amongst the administrators that I will be holding them to in their evaluations, as we begin that process this fall too.
Will you send us an invite on when that day is? Are we gonna do like we did last time where?
First day's kids are the staff.
Yeah.
16, we'll send you.
Yeah. Just send an invite if you don't mind, so I don't miss that.
And then
That was really
the
nice.
students is the 17th, it'd be nice if people around, the great kids when they come take pictures. So,
And on the 16th, will they have donuts?
Okay, we need to stay on topic.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Thanks, Jill.
That's it.
You need a motion on this?
We need a motion and a second to approve the final strategic plan
Motion.
of the executive summary as presented. Motion by Scott, second by Chad, roll call.
Chad,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jane, yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is approval of the revised intergovernmental agreement with the Effingham City Police Department.
And really the difference there is from last year's, there's 1 year left on the agreement that was originally set up with the district. The difference this year will be, there's also an added mentor, what do we call it, mentor vision officer? Yeah, mentor officer, sorry. Which basically is, correct me if I'm wrong, up to 3 days a week. It will be posted at the city PD. The hope is, I actually talked to Jason today, he'll probably start tomorrow. I'm trying to get that schedule filled. It won't be the same person. It's gonna be whoever is interested in picking up extra hours. It will be paid somewhere between $30 and $62 an hour based on the rate of overtime that officer will be receiving. But that would be the only addition at this point right now to our security, safety personnel. Now, and I'm going to hopefully come to all of you by the next board meeting with a much more extensive idea and plan. We've been in touch with Mattoon and also been in touch with Charleston. What Mattoon has done, Mattoon has put into place, and they did this last year, so it went tremendous. They had 2 SROs who were free to move about the country, per se, in the district, to do that bonding and building, whatever, all the things an SRO does. Then they went out and hired SSOs, which are security, school security officers, which basically are, they're not trained SROs. They are carrying, obviously they would have a weapon. They would be at the front door, and they would be in a position to where they could be utilized for anything that we need on the security side. So they put one in every single building on their campus that the students in attendance in. At Charleston is in the process of, they have SROs as well as security SOs. And he stated they were going to try to hire 4.5. At this point, right now, they have 5 apply, so they'll hire everybody. Only one part-time. If indeed they go that direction, they have 6 campuses. So I'm guessing they're splitting theirs up to some extent to be able to cover that. Something I need you to keep in mind here, part of my proposal coming back to you is going to be very similar to that, which is going to be extremely expensive. I do believe that we have more money that can help with that. Already made plans, as I've addressed back even in the fall on this line. But I'll also say that I've been contacted by Sacred Heart. They're interested in being part of this, and Easy with TLC's alternative schools part of this. So I would like to try to incorporate those two into the mix, which they would pay for their own service if it was a security, like an SSO or something of that nature. So what I'm asking you tonight is, in my opinion, because schools were so quick to start to get going here, let's approve the IGA that has been proposed. It's only a 1-year contract. There are things in that contract that need to be adjusted before we start down the next road with the IGA. We need more involvement in the process of the selection. Honestly, there may be a situation where we're not interested in the higher rack anymore, because I can do it cheaper if we go some other direction. So I want that time to continue to research that and look into what's best. Here's what I would love to have. I would love to have from you, the graces, to say, for instance, if I propose to you that we spend $250,000 on personnel, security personnel this day, to go try to get what we can get for that amount of money this year. And why I put it at $250,000 is here's one. Last year we paid $70,000, okay, for one resource officer. Now I've gone out and I increased the torch. I increased the torch about $150,000. That puts us at $220,000 that could be put towards that this year. All right, so I'm close to the 250 mark. Probably have some wiggle room to go to 250. I would love to put it at 250 this year and then increase it again for the next year. I think it would be very difficult right now for us to put people in every building, but I'm not going to say we can't. From a safety standpoint, especially for the public, I need people to understand we're going to secure our campuses at the highest rate that we can get to as quick as we can get there. And that's what I'm at. So we have some things in closed session that we will discuss that are more direct and fall under the exemption. But as far as this portion of it and the overview of a program, I want more information on what we're going to do with the proposal at the August board meeting. If indeed we go this route, which I'm suggesting that we do, we also are in a position that we're going to need to amend the board policy. There's about 3 or 4 stipulations that our attorney has stated that must take place in order to go down the road of putting in place, again, what Mattoon has in place. So we would have to change our board policy, and again, I don't have the details to that yet because I just kind of wanted to get your idea on where you feel we should go on this level.
Let me say this, Eddie, and this is for everybody. I don't care if it's federal, state, county, or city. I don't think there's a more important issue than the safety of our kids. And to a degree, I don't think money should be an issue. That's just personally for me.
And how I'm looking at it is.
Or privatized, I'm sorry, with the private security.
I think we need to allocate a budget, and we're working on the budget the next 2 months. I think we need to, again, like I said, let's throw in a number and say there's for personnel. And then maybe I come back out and say, okay, we'll now allocate just for kids, $50,000 for equipment upgrades. Right, we just, I'm not gonna get into details on lots of things that have been done already that we're still in the process of working on. But there are some other things that are coming, that I'm seeing. I was at a national conference last week, had extensive conversations with people all over the country. And many of those people that I spoke with had shootings on their property or somewhere close. And they are going at extreme levels of protection. And I don't want to wait until something happens. So I would rather be proactive.
What's our allocation for MOs this year? For the MOs this year? The mentor officers?
And what I would suggest at this point right now, we don't.
We don't have one yet. And
We don't set a budget yet.
Okay,
We're still in the budget building stage.
but at some point, we must have agreed to a certain number because you're paying between 30 and 60, 3 times a week, 8 hours a day, so you already have that number.
You're agreeing to that tonight.
Right.
If you say no to this,
Right.
that's out. If you told me right now, move forward with just the SRO and not the mentor side of this, we can amend it tomorrow and asking them to approve that.
With your relatively recent idea, which is wonderful for the SSOs that you've researched in Unit Charleston, which you at least potentially said maybe we do instead of place of the MO next year after this agreement passes, if it does tonight. Would you recommend just not doing that this year and then just going into the SROs or SSOs along with the SRO?
It's a great question, and here's why I'm suggesting we follow the MOU at this point. I've worked on this MOU all year. And the only upgrade from a year ago, just this August, is if I put this in place right now, if we don't do this tonight, how long is it gonna take me to have everything approved to get those MOs in place? My guess would be more on the lines of a year from now, we don't,
We reanalyze and see if we don't just do this.
we take
don't
money
need
to
to
spend on MO this year.
spend that money on the SSOs.
Right.
My guess would be at this point right now, you would probably be looking at 70,000 from SRO, similar to last year. Turn around, maybe put 70,000 in on the MO, and then let's just say it is, that's 140. So now it's 110 if you said we're okay with 250. So then there's $100,000 you would pay.
And the equipment might be a significant chunk too.
It could be, but I would like to write some grants. It's, again, when equipment that we would be talking about, we wouldn't have in there to start August 15th anyway. So we would progressively work through that.
Yes, I would be in favor of expediting whatever you've learned. You can bring it from them back to Charleston, which I knew one of them was relatively recent, that's last year maybe, his first year.
Yeah, last year was Mattoon's. Yeah, Charleston's first, this is
Right.
first year.
But Mattoon's always had more than one SRO anyway.
They had two.
We're lacking. So any extra is good.
How did they get to the agreement to get to? Or is the district just saying, oh, we'll pay for it, give us to? Or does their city subsidize any of that?
City is paid, well, I'm not sure. I don't have any idea what.
You mean the SSOs? Right.
Well, they have 2 SROs.
Right.
Oh, you mean what is
So
Mattoon
what is
doing?
Matt, how do they pay for it?
Same thing, say what we do.
Okay,
It's cost per student.
okay.
Yeah,
I
it's-
didn't ask Charleston,
$49.
I'm assuming it's probably. It varies. I know Robinson down the road has SROs provided to them from the city PD at no expense. So every area is a little bit different. It would be neat if we could get some support somewhere else besides just the school district on this from a financial standpoint, but that, that's something I think can be visited down the road too.
I agree.
I think we gotta get to the point of what we know we need, and how much it's gonna cost us, and then we start down some of those avenues.
Any other questions, discussion?
Anybody have any questions on what we're motioning tonight?
No, I looked at, the only thing I asked about was, Andy, have more input on selection going forward, but this is just for this 1 year. So the new agreement we look at going forward.
I think what you can correct me if I'm wrong, I hate to tell you what you think, but I believe he wants more input on the SRO as opposed to the MOs. The MOs is whoever can be off, can be
Oh,
here,
yeah,
we'll take them. So he'll never have input on that, other than, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the administration of the Effingham Police Department, if he had someone that he didn't believe was working out, they wouldn't keep sending him.
Right.
So he does have that. Same with the SRO, I believe if that's not working out, they would definitely take it as recommendation. I think what he's looking for is the initial involvement in selecting the SRO.
That's what I'm referring to as well.
And I'm confident that the police department is picking someone that is qualified to be in schools in that capacity. They're, has some training for it.
Yes.
Yes.
And I do think for clarification purposes, it is, to my understanding, this is the option for us to take it. So if at any point during this contractual year, we wouldn't want the MO, we don't have to
No.
make an MO 3 days a week,
Correct.
okay?
Right. And
So let's say December, we decide that we want to go with SSOs, and we want to take that money and put it towards that, we could not have to be obligated. This is just providing us with the opportunity if we want with the MOs.
Right, and they're not under any obligation to fill them.
Correct.
Right.
It's like a team player option in your football team, we both have the option.
Any other questions? Okay, the recommendation is looking for a motion, a second, to approve the revised intergovernmental agreement with the Effingham City Police Department for securing our school resource officer and the option of securing an additional mentor officer for the 2023-24 school year.
Motion.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Scott. Roll call.
Steve,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Karen.
Yes.
Thank you for that. I know it's been a heck of a process, and still got a long way to go, but I appreciate your support on that.
Okay, next on the agenda is the NTech Building Automation System Upgrade Contract.
So very high dollar item, coming at you fast and furious. I'll throw out right out of the gate, does not have to be done tonight. I will say though, that I would highly recommend it to be in place as sooner than later, because in essence, what we're doing is, currently we have, I would say about half the districts on Intech and half the districts on Huntwell. So we've got two different systems trying to manage our HVAC systems. Obviously, it's not crossing over in the buildings, but you've got X buildings, and it makes a lot more sense for it to all be. We have some what we feel antiquated equipment because of this. And honestly, this process started, I don't know when, a couple of years ago, I'm gonna guess, with Intech starting to transition over. I will say that I met with Intech directly, and they were putting together a 3-year plan, and I was able to drop the expense by about 25%. Because we could do it over a year rather than phasing in over 3 years. So I do believe that there is a cost savings there. It would take the entire year to be able to transition it all over. I've never been a part of this. I'm assuming it's pretty extensive work. And it would have all new equipment, my understanding, as far as the software side and things leading to it, to be able to do the things that obviously we control our HVAC systems with. The company believes that there will be significant savings. Again, that's going on their word, so I don't know that I can say those kind of savings are there, but very significant savings in the potential of making this move. So Why it was researched in the beginning, I don't know. My guess is Intech, a company that we've really utilized a lot lately. If we have problems of any kind, that's who we call. They respond very quickly. Todd Taylor told me that within probably within 2 to 3 hours, he's getting a response. That was not the case with the previous vendor. And again, I'm not here to badmouth vendors. That's not my point. I'm just stating facts.
Does this help our issue at the junior high?
Because that's the actual HVAC equipment. This is just the
Right.
software that sits on top of it. So when I was looking at this and talking with Andy, is that the estimated savings is because the Honeywell system is a little more antiquated than the Intech. Intech's going to give us more control when people aren't in the buildings and the settings, whereas Todd's dealing with one system versus 2 different systems. And the real savings, I mean, the 70, like Andy said, it's kind of, it's from the company based on their expertise and so forth. The 15,000 is what we wouldn't be paying Honeywell anymore if we were to move to this one. And then obviously the cybersecurity is a big deal. And the interest, yeah, that is a savings too by not having to allocate over multiple years.
I will say I've researched purchasing this, making this the service out of Tort. We cannot do it directly at Tort, but we can move Tort money to the O&M, and then if we even wanted to, we could move it to the capital fund, which is Fund 60, to take care of building upgrades. And that is from legal. That would be my recommendation. I will also tell you that we had, though I don't ever like to, we had some fund balance in Tort from last year that could be utilized for this. Doesn't cover that entire expense of $203,000, but it's significant. It would help.
Morris, it's not helping with the junior high issue because this is software, not your actual equipment.
I think we're making some headway with the junior high right now. I can honestly say we haven't had any, of course, we haven't had a kid in the building per se. So once we get back, everybody back in, we really understand. It'd be nice to see the first, August, September, nothing at all, and then we'll know we're there. But if we're not, then we may be looking at some other avenues, because we've chased this rabbit about as far as we chase it. It's going to tell you.
I can't remember one of the 200 school days. I was probably in the junior high, 198 of them, and I can't remember one comfortable day there. Probably someone else in the room might have an opinion on it.
My thoughts are, Todd does a tremendous job for us. Todd recommends it. The two of you feel like we can pay for it, then I support it.
We're going to cut back on facility expenditures this year. So I told her we're not going to spend anything at all, and I keep through with this. But again, right now, I wouldn't do it if it wasn't the opportunity to save money. Okay, we're going to do it. We've already transitioned half the district.
Right, it's going to happen sooner or
Transition the
later.
other half.
Right.
You want to spend an extra 25% next year, you want to wait another year, spend another 30%. It's not going to get cheap, so we might as well, and then once you do it, I think you're going to recoup. I think we'll benefit some things from it, so at least I would hope so.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, looking for a motion and a second to approve the contract with Intech to upgrade the remainder of the district facilities automation systems for HVAC software operations for a cost of $203,500.
Motion.
Motion by Chad,
I'll second it.
second by Jane, roll call.
Steve,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Jack.
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is the process to hire the EHS athletic director to replace the retiring athletic director.
don't really have much to say about that because we revisited this. This just gives a timeline on what we're talking about. If you want to read that timeline.
Okay. So the timeline would be to post the position again in September, hire the position by December, and approve the candidate, or the approved candidate would begin July 1 of 2024. I think we've hashed this out several times.
We did have several applicants when we posted it the first time, and I did send them, they've been notified that if they were not interested in applying, it would open it back up again. They were to contact me, none of them have contacted me. I do know at least one was hired somewhere else. It doesn't mean that person's still not interested. So I will plan on that entire pool being already in there. I received a call today, one of them asking what we're doing. I said, the information will come out tonight. And you are considered because you applied the first time.
Okay, so you're keeping the applications, but you're reopening
Correct.
for any additional.
Additional
Okay.
desires.
And what were the applications you already had, what was that from?
What was it from?
Yeah, what,
Posting very similar.
okay, why did we post it now, why are we posting?
I think at the time we weren't ready to
Have that person start.
correct. So
At some point, we thought we would have them start.
what we were discussing was possibly starting someone this year and working 1 year with the current athletic director. And we decided that wasn't something that we wanted.
We use that head count somewhere else.
Plus,
And we also hired a administrative assistant as well.
we made some other hires. We spent some money.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion, a second, to approve the HR Athletics Committee recommendation, the recommendation process for hiring the EHS Athletic Director to begin July 1, 2024.
Motion.
Motion by Chad. Oh, I'm sorry, second by Scott. Roll call.
Scott,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Chad.
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Okay, last month we posted policies for review and public comments. They were posted and then again in your packet. Is there any questions or discussion? Okay, so I'm looking for a motion, a second, to adopt the following board policies as presented. 280, 2170, 445, 4,100, 5,230, 6,10, 6,190, 6,240, 7,275, 7,305, 7,330.
Make a motion.
Motion by Chad,
Second.
second by Steve. Roll call.
Scott,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Chad.
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Okay, so next on the agenda is the solar eclipse, just discussion, no action at this time. It's occurring on April 8th, 2024 in the afternoon. School is scheduled to be in session at this time. And we need to make some considerations for traffic and that sort of thing. I don't know much about the actual occurrence. Like the last time it happened, it was more southerly. Is it gonna happen more in this
It's second.
area? Is like the epicenter?
Is Ozzy Osbourne coming there too? 'Cause he went to Carbondale last time. So.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Sorry, please don't.
It's going to be featured, Jill. And it's also, you'll notice it.
We'll really,
It's gonna come right pretty much through here.
so we'll have a lot of people and a lot of backed up interstates and a lot of.
It isn't gonna be all day long.
Right, I know, but if we recall how it happened,
I gotta get kids home. It's the concern. Yes, Carbondale's gonna be big again supposedly, but we sent an alligator bid up until, we sent a group for a couple groups maybe to Carbondale. And it took 6 hours, I believe, to get back from Carbondale to here. But they went now. Does that mean that we can't have school? No. But again, I go back in the road of, I didn't have this on my radar. And we put the schedule out and we had some staff come forward and say, they're probably gonna put in personal days. Because multiple reasons, but they're like, do you understand the magnitude of what's coming? And I don't know if you guys have heard much, we haven't heard much in town. I haven't heard a lot of talk about it yet, have you?
I know the village of Dietrich's talking about the same thing at their meeting tonight, so.
Okay.
Works
It's coming. And I would imagine, because we're talking about it, the schools are gonna start taking a look at it a little bit.
What is
The time on
the
this,
projected
the time,
timeframe after
it's
that?
August 8th, or April 8th, 1:30-ish or somewhere in there. You know, it's only, what, for 2 minutes? But
Oh,
again,
that's all,
people
okay.
that are coming from, my guess is, people from the north are coming here, because if you're the south, you're gonna go to Carbondale, you're gonna go to places staggered that you might see more. I think you're gonna see east, west, and north. It's a pretty good place to converge two interstates. We've even been told, Amy Johnson's not quoting this, I heard this, that somewhere it states that our parking lots are some of the best places to view it from. Which again, we can block them off.
But if we're in
How many
school, we
places-
block them off, right? I mean,
Well, okay,
yeah.
do we? How many police do we have? I mean, I guess we get state police here too, but do we want, and that's why one of my questions was, do we consider it e-learning day? I don't like e-learning days, I'm not gonna lie to you. But we don't change the schedule, other than children stay at home, they still learn. Here's the problem with e-learning. We're not approved right now to do an e-learning day. I have to go through the process with the state to even get e-learning approved. Because Effingham, which I support, and Jasper County, because that's where I was at, I didn't seek approval, because I never want to do it. And now I'm sitting here going, okay, would it make sense for us to do a district-wide solar eclipse project and do it e-learning wise to be able to capitalize on a day like that? I'm not encouraging, I put it on here for discussion tonight because honestly, we don't have to make this decision until April. If you want to.
I would take it under,
Not April, I'd say before that, but
I would take it under consideration, and then, whenever you have to make the call, we can make the call at that point. May not use enough snow days to make a difference, you just use one of those days too, so. But I understand your concern, because I remember there was,
Right, I remember the traffic.
the interstates
being
wasn't the
short,
problem.
But I also remember it was really hyped up because it hadn't happened in many, many years. And now it's just a couple of years later and it's happening again. Is there gonna be as much hype, selling all the glasses and, like it was like,
The interstates were bad, but I don't remember the city traffic being that bad.
Yeah.
I don't remember any school traffic being a hindrance. But it is something we have to think about if we want to go down one of the paths of the e-learning, because he has to get on getting the approval. So it's not like we can do that April 1st. It's not getting the approval.
I can move forward with the e-learning and we never use it if you want me to do that. It doesn't hurt to have it. I guess in my old age, I'm starting to think maybe we should have done it at Jasper. Maybe, I don't know. I just don't like it. I really don't think it's advantageous for our kids. I'm a brick and mortar guy. I like them being in the classrooms with my teachers. Teachers do a great job with them. And again, I can find out when I do some research and see how long it would take to get the e-learning part approved. Let you know at the April or the August board meeting, and we can go from there.
Got that. Andy doesn't shop Amazon. Got it.
His boss and the director of tourism were at a meeting just a couple of weeks ago. And they talked about this.
Right.
So that might be a resource.
But I kept waiting for something to come out, and I haven't heard anything from that, which I can talk to him about it and see.
I think they were just.
My wife was there? You said my boss.
Your other boss.
Yeah, I'll do some more homework on it, but I just thought I'd bring it to your attention because it was brought to mind.
It just,
Staff. It's about like a snow day for me.
have it on the
I've been
radar.
on the fence, and if it's 50-50, I'm taking it off. If we're 50-50 worried about traffic in town and the safety of my kids, I suggest we take it off. That's where I'm at with lots of 2 and 3 o'clock in the windows. I'll bring it back to you.
All right, sounds good. Moving along, approval of the updated district lice policy.
This is
We'll
coming
get a
before
chance
you
to
as a
read that.
request from the nurse.
Okay,
Have
And-
concerns.
and that was written by the nurse?
This
Or by
actually
the health
was, this was approved by, this was actually written by, the adjustments by our attorneys.
Okay.
But we can change some of this to another,
I just thought that one sentence in there kind of alluded to the fact that it classifies people.
Are you comfortable with this as written, except for that,
Yes.
if we change some of the language on that, you would support this? Then I would just vote this in pending board, or the pending legal update to the one consent.
Okay.
Because it's really not gonna change
It doesn't
the
change.
gist behind what
Right.
we're doing.
Right.
Okay.
It just makes it sound better.
So is that the removal of that sentence or a rewrite of that sentence?
I would rewrite. Would you? Or was it? You remove it, you can approve tonight, and you're done.
Just just this.
Well, that wasn't even discussed, that was already that's already policy. That's not update, just the red is up.
Okay. So then what sentence are we talking about?
You're talking about this one's the other one, and this changed. That I would have to ask about. No, it's taken out. Take out Quinn Senecal and approve it. Good with that? Second sentence, Or second paragraph, first sentence?
Second paragraph, first sentence.
go on. Basically, it'll be
Products are available.
to treat head lice. Period.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, motion and a second. I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the updated district lice policy to begin August 1st, 2023.
Motion.
Motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Steve. Roll call.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Chad,
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Okay, next is the approval of the fuel bid.
I don't have anything on that other than, get it out.
No, only one bid. South Central FS was the low bidder and is recommended to approve the fuel for Unit 40. So I'm looking for a motion and a second to accept the South Central FS's bid to provide Unit number 40 fuel for the 2023-24 school year.
Motion.
Motion by Scott. Second by Jill. Roll call.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Chad,
I need to abstain on that one.
Steve,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Okay, next is the discussion on board committees.
So you've had board committees for 3 years. I wasn't around when the inception of that began. Some of you were. I would just ask that because we need to be board members, I think it's a good time to revisit the actual committees that are in place. Make sure that's something that you want to continue to maintain. The other encouragement, and I'm after being in this district for a year, what I would like to do is I would like to get those on the calendar in August for the entire year. So that we're not just, hey, when we need to throw one together, we throw it together. Not that that doesn't need to happen time to time, maybe it does, but if we can get 2 or 3 or 4 on for each one on the calendar, that'd be good.
Yep.
I had thrown out or possibly consider, as the attorneys stated, you probably want to, possibly 1 or 3 board members. A lot of districts do that. If you're comfortable with 2, leave it at 2. it's not a deal breaker. Doesn't matter, it'll work. I was just throwing out a suggestion, so we stick it to, I think, and again, we got it as a discussion item tonight, so that in my opinion, at the August board meeting, let's put in place who those two people are for each of the committees and each committee that you want to move forward with. And I'll try to start working on dates, possibly after that board meeting, to get set those on the calendar. I like your recommendation, I didn't get around to doing it yet.
And that's the only, well, the way that we've done it in the past, when they first came to fruition, is first, we determined which committees we had, and then second, each board member should submit to the board president your preference on one, whether or not you can serve on one or two committees, and then two, your priorities of which committees you'd like to serve on, 1, 2, or 3 choices. And then the board president, with the help of the superintendents, would then place each board member on a committee. Sometimes you get the one you want, sometimes you don't necessarily get the ones you want. But for the most part, I would say it's where your interest lies on the board, and the board president has taken that into consideration.
I'm just curious, has Scott and Andrew been appointed
To a committee?
to anyone?
Not yet, because we haven't reorganized the committees yet. So,
If you even want to, right? If you want to leave it as is, but I just felt like it was probably a good time to revisit it.
right. And if you want to stay on the same ones, then a note to me would be fine. So the suggestion maybe was to have a little ballot that you could turn into me, but I think we can all be responsible. The committees that we have now are
HR athletics,
HR athletics,
curriculum,
curriculum,
transportation and facilities, and technology.
and technology. Do we need to add the communications committee? Or
I would not.
I think we're sort of,
I would leave that as a non-board member committee, because I think that one really, to be honest with you, needs to meet a lot more, especially with the new communications director and a lot of internal workings that we're on. And I hate to ask somebody to meet that much. If you want it to be, we can do that. But I'm just saying.
I don't think it needs to be a board committee anymore. I think that can be self-sufficient through our teams here in the buildings.
Because they're not really gonna come to you with, pretty well taken care of the action items that we
Right.
need from that group.
Right.
With the rebranding and
When we,
actually securing a marketing communications specialist, which we've done.
which that was what that committee needed to do. Was, the other thing too, when we first started the committees, we had a finance committee. And I believe Angie Byers and I were on that committee. When we went to them, there's so much information on budget and finance that each of us have to be responsible and each of us have to be working. That's what we had decided a few years ago. If we think we need a finance and budget committee, we can do it. But it is our responsibility as board members to be versed in finance and budgeting. If you've never been to the conference in Chicago, go to the finance and budgeting seminar. It's very helpful.
Come in and sit down, Kelsey and I.
Right. And there was a time that, I'm not gonna throw anything at Kelsey at this point, but we could get briefed every so often at a board meeting. This is, what this means and this is how this works.
Can
And
we talk about that?
Yes, we have, you've mentioned that to me before.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's coming.
We will have some nice graphs and things like that at some point. I want to get our feet wet before I go too high for the name on it.
So it looks like we are still staying with 4 committees.
Only other one I would throw out there to consider, but I'm not recommending that you do it, is a safety committee. The bad part, in my opinion, is, again, I don't think we want a lot.
That becomes public.
Correct. A lot of things dealing with safety need not be, plans and things like that need not be shared from a security standpoint. So think we can do it internally, but I'm just saying, I didn't know if that was something else to consider.
They never considered an exemption for safety committee in closed session.
I'd have to do some more digging. There are pieces that yes, but there, a lot of it shocks me. You're correct.
Yeah. Too much, in my opinion, too much has to be shared, in my opinion.
So I think you're right, I think you stick with 4, if everybody's comfortable with that for now.
Okay, and then we'll send out an email before the next meeting, because we need to have the committees in place before the next meeting so that they're approved then.
Can we
So,
send you an email?
yeah,
Whatever, okay,
that'll work.
I got you.
Okay, any other questions or concerns about that? Okay, the appointment of FOIA and OMA officers for Unit 40. Just want me to read the statement, or?
You can, it's basically
Okay,
states
each public body must appoint individuals, 1, to handle FOIA requests, the Freedom of Information requests, and 2, to act as an OMA or Open Meetings Act officer. These individuals must complete training provided by the Illinois Attorney General's office. Shell Beck, Kelsey Baker, and Andy are recommended to serve as FOIA and OMA officers for Unit 40. Any questions? Okay, so I'm looking for a motion, a second, to appoint Andrew Johnson, Kelsey Baker, and Shelley Beck as Unit 40 FOIA and OMA officers.
Motion.
Motion by Chad,
Second.
second by Scott. Roll call.
Jane, yes. Chad?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
You guys already been through that training.
I just finished.
Steph, do any
How many hours was it?
all it does, not hours, it takes not very long.
I was our FOIA for the Effingham Police Department. We had to do a 40-hour course.
Yeah.
40 hours?
Yeah.
Wow. I guess.
Resources we can reference if we have
Right.
questions.
And fortunately, I think we're in these days prior to, like, being back to this now, they really established a nice template that they utilize. I don't do much with it right now. I'm in place. That's probably more of what Kelsey's going to be dealing with along with Brandon this next year. Teaching that. So it's not near that.
Okay, we're moving on to executive session. I'm looking for a motion, a second, to enter into closed session for 5 ALCS 120, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district. B, ILCS 120/2C2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. C, Illinois ILCS 120/2C6, the setting of price for sale or lease of property owned by the district. Letter D, 5 ILCS 120/C11, litigation when an action against affecting or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting. 2 more. ILCS 122C21, discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed, whether for purposes of approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by section 2.06. And letter F, 5 ILCS 120/2CA, security procedures, school building safety and security, and the use of personnel and equipment to respond to a threatened or publicly reasonable potential danger to the safety of employees, students, staff, and the public or property. Do I have that motion?
Yes, you do.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Scott, roll call.
Chad,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes.
Okay, we're now moving into closed session.